All right, now we're going to do worksheet number 3. Okay, so go to your My Stuff and open it back up again. And see inside, we have our 2 kickers and a ball. All right, so we have friction, and now it's time to do gravity. Okay, so gravity is a little bit more intense when it comes to the math. Friction, we just times it by a number right here, but gravity is going to have a lot more math to it. So this is just gravity, the whole worksheet, and there's a lot of math to it. So and some of it is a little bit beyond what you're probably doing in math class right now. So just follow along, and when you get to it in math class, instead of saying, when are we going to use this, you're going to say, I've used this. And it'll be really good. All right. Start from the beginning. Got the worksheet here. All right, so it says to go to the stage. So instead of being clicked on the ball, we're going to click on the stage. And we're going to create 2 variables, okay? So I go to data. We already have friction, so we're going to make 2 more. We're going to call them gravity and gravity angle. Okay, so gravity. Say okay. Let me make another one, and then we say gravity angle. We usually, when we make variables in programming, we don't use spaces. So all one word, but then just capitalize whenever you would have had another word, but don't have a space in the middle. We say okay. All right. In this right here, it says to set gravity to 0.1 and gravity angle to 180. So we're going to grab 2 of these sets here, set and set. They're both saying gravity angle, so let's change one to gravity. And so gravity needs to be 0.1 and gravity angle needs to be 180. Like that. Then it says make some more event handlers for letters over here. So we'll go to events and drag over. There's 2 of them, so I'm going to just do 2 of them right now. One for the letter G and one for the letter T. So G and then T. So just mouse over that little arrow and it'll scroll automatically. All right. Let's go back to data. So one of them is going to add 0.01 to gravity, so that's changing it instead of setting it. So we're going to change, G is going to change gravity, not the angle, but gravity itself by 0.01. All right, 0.01. And then gravity angle is going to be set to 180. Sorry, no, sets gravity to 0. I read the wrong one. Set gravity to 0. Okay. So it says test your event handlers to make sure they change and the variables, change like you want them to. So let's go ahead and G should add 0.01 as it goes up right here, and then T should take it back to 0. Our F, R should also work still. Okay, so everything's working, but now we need to make it so they actually apply to the ball. All right, so we click on the ball, and now we see the ball code. All right, so now we're going to do something new here. We're going to create a function. If you did code.org before you did this, which you should have, code.org did functions when you said to make a house, okay, or make a square or make a triangle, and you gave it separate instructions on the side that it referred to. Whenever in the main code you said, hey, make a house or make a triangle, it would go to the function and then make it happen. Okay, so we're going to do that. So we have to click on more blocks, And what this does is it makes it so we can make that function, or some people call it a subroutine, or separate program that the original program references. And so we say make a block. Okay, we're going to call it gravity. Okay, we're going to define what it is here pretty soon. Okay, so you call it gravity, and then pretty sure we need to run without screen refresh here. Okay, so check that. It doesn't say that in the instructions, so I'm going to make sure they put that in. We'll say okay, and I'll say define gravity right here. So whatever we tell it to do here, it will do whatever we tell it to do there when we drag it in right here. So this is saying, hey, go over here and do whatever we tell you to do here. And so it helps make this the main program shorter, and that we can make sure we focus on it over on the other side here. All right, now here's the equation. You ready? It says that you need to use the law of cosines to calculate the speed as gravity is taking effect on it. And so we need to set the speed to the square root of speed squared plus gravity squared minus 2 times speed times gravity times the cosine of the direction. And so we need to start dragging out some blocks here. Okay, and this is going to take a little while, so let's just follow along here. Let's go to data, and let's drag over our set speed. So if that's what we need first, I'll just slap it in there right there. Then let's get these. We're going to need speed 3 times. So drag over speed 1, 2, and I'm going to zoom in. How about that? Make it a little bit bigger so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so speed, speed, speed. And then we're going to need gravity 3 times. So gravity, gravity, gravity. Gravity. You can right click and duplicate or drag it over 1,000,000 times. Either way works. Okay, 3 gravities. And what else do we need? We're going to need a direction. So if we go to motion, down here in the very bottom, this is direction. What else do we need? We're going to need a ton of operators. So go to this green section, the operators. Square root. So right here is square root. It has a 9 in there, but that's okay. We can change that. Usually it has a 10. That's interesting. That has a 9. And then we're going to need cosine, which is in the drop-down menu of square root. Okay, so cosine. Then we're going to need a bunch of operators here. We're going to need times, 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 a couple times. Here, 3 times on the times. 1, 2, 3. Oh, wait, there's 4 times. How about that? Come on, get in there. And then a plus and a minus. Plus, minus. Let me double check this. Times, times. Yep. 4 times is a minus and a plus. There we go. Right. So you start out with all these pieces, and then we start putting them together into sections together. Now, in the equation where it says speed squared and gravity squared, we don't have a squared in Scratch, so we just have to do it the old-fashioned way here, I guess. Instead of putting a square next to it, you just times it by itself. So speed, speed, and then we need a gravity, gravity. When you drag one tile inside of another, even if you grab it way over on the right side of it, you still put the left side of it in there. If I put where my mouse is, it doesn't work. So just notice that it likes to snap in there when you have the left side of the tile over the opening. Anyway, so speed and speed, gravity and gravity. Okay, now let's start putting everything together. We want cosine of direction. So there's another put together. Then we want to put that inside of another one, and then go gravity times that. So now we have gravity times cosine of direction. And let's see what else. Let's go to the next page here. Okay, we'll do the square root last. Speed times speed plus gravity times gravity. So these need to go inside of a plus. So speed squared and gravity squared are plus together. So now we have this together. We have this together. So it's a couple more things here. We want speed times gravity times cosine of direction. I almost kind of work backwards. And then I put that in here. Oh, no. Hold on. 2 times speed times 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my gosh, I needed one more times. 5 times. Sweet. Man. All right, sorry about that. So put the number 2 right there. So we have speed squared plus gravity squared minus 2 times speed times gravity times cosine of direction. So to get the minus, here's our minus. So let's put the 2 halves of the equation together. You got to be careful where you grab on here. If you grab a tile on top, it's going to disconnect. So you got to grab the tile that's the lowest one. So right here. So I'll snap that in there. Come on. There it goes. And then I'll grab this one. And again, you have to put it on that side of it. So you got to be careful where you drop it. And that whole thing got shoved over there. I might have to scroll over here. There we go. Scroll over. And get away from my other program. There we go. Still have a square root. And we want to square root that whole thing. Okay, so the last thing I do with all the green is put it inside there. And then I grab this and slap it into there. All right, so now we have our define gravity. I might have to zoom out. Okay, so define gravity. So we're setting speed to the square root of speed plus speed. Sorry, speed squared plus gravity squared minus 2 times speed times gravity times the cosine of direction. Make sure that yours matches this perfectly, that everything is in the right order, that the tiles stack down in the way that mine do, and it should be right. All right. All right. Okay, next it says we will use the law of sines and an if-then-else block to calculate how far we need to turn. And if the speed is close to 0, we're going to have the speed. Well, if the speed is less than gravity, then the equation doesn't work well. So then they have another thing where they have the ball point down. Otherwise, they have another equation where gravity times the sine of direction divided by speed. So let's go ahead and do that. So we need an if else, which is in the control section. If then else, right here. Slap it on there. So if speed is less than gravity. So in order to do that, we need an operator, so less than. And we need speed and gravity from our data section. So you don't have to type them out, just drag and drop them in. All right, so if speed is less than gravity, then we're going to go down. That'll be under motion in a direction. Point in direction. Click the little down arrow. It'll be down 180. Else, and we're going to turn. And we're going to need a couple more things here. All right, let's get a couple things here. So we're going to need a direction and a speed and a gravity. So speed, gravity. You see, I like to drag everything out before I put it together. That way I have it all ready to go. We're going to need a bunch of operators. We need 2 of these at least. Yep, 2 of them. But they're not going to be square root. They're going to be arc sine, which is the opposite of sine, and then sine right there. So arc sine and sine. Now, a lot of you probably haven't used trig yet, so you haven't seen sine, cosine, tangent, but you will eventually. And if you want your teacher to explain this more, you can, but I don't want to go too far into it in a video. All right, we're going to need a times and a divide. Okay, gravity times sine, direction divided by speed. Okay, here we go. Sine of direction. Boom, stick those together. And we want gravity times that. So let's put this down here. This on one side, gravity on the other. And we want to divide that whole thing by speed. And after we get all that, take the arc sine of it, and that's what we're going to turn by. Boom, just like that. Okay, so if you need to pause that, pause it where I have everything, make it work out, and put it all together. Okay, the next step is testing it out. And so if you increase gravity a lot by hitting G, your ball should arc down like this. See how it's arcing down? So gravity is pulling it down. All right, so let's test it some more. I ran out of recording space again. I'm using a free version, and it only does 10 minutes at a time. So just to show you a little bit more of the testing, there's not much more except for the extra stuff for experts, but I'm not going to do any of that. And it's like moving this into its own function like gravity, but I don't see the need when there's only one block. So there's just, or it could be this whole thing. There's a few things you could do to shorten this code by bringing it over here, making a function, but it's not super necessary, so I'm not going to worry about that. Anyway, so if I say pen down, then you can actually watch. Let me give it some speed here. You can see how it acts. That's with a lot of friction, though. Let me reset the friction and the gravity, and you'll see that with no gravity, it just travels in a straight line. As soon as I start adding gravity, you'll see that it'll start getting more of a curve to the lines. There's some good curvature right there. So if you want a lot of gravity, that would do it right there. Or you could, I usually don't put that much in there. I usually like around like 0.5. Friction, I only like just a little bit of friction just to make the ball slow down a little bit like it would in real life. So you fine tune those numbers. Once you find the numbers that you like over here, you can go back in your code, click on stage, and then right here at the beginning where you set friction and gravity, put them to the numbers that you like. That way you don't have to tweak it every time. So we have the tweaks here to experiment and then set it to what you really like in the long run. Anyways, I just needed one more minute. So that's worksheet 3, and we got 4 more to go. This one's probably the hardest one when it comes to all the math. So don't get too overwhelmed by it, and you'll be fine. Anyway, just don't be afraid to pause the video, make sure everything's the same way that I put it in, and you should be fine. If you find these videos helpful, keep using them. If you think you're getting used to how the worksheet works, just follow the worksheet and don't worry about listening to me drone on.